Hey guys, how's it going? Shuhandz here. Today we're continuing our variable diopter journey of October, and I'm following the Rapido 35A review with this one also for a Rapido focuser, the highly specialized FVD-16B. If you're not a subscriber to the channel yet, but you have a deep curiosity about anamorphic shooting, wait no longer and hit that red subscribe button. I'm going to be looking into what's the difference between the 16A and 16B focusers, checking its performance, and what kind of good and bad things you should expect from it. If you're ready to embark on this journey, hit that like button, and there's test footage sprinkled throughout this video, but since this is a more technical review, you'll have to hunt for it a bit. To make up for it, enjoy these wonderful shots by David Tergemina. You can find links to more of his work in the description. Tergemina uses the Mavo LF using a 135mm taking lens and the Rapido 16B as single focus solution. The shallow depth of field is mesmerizing and it's hard to miss that ovo bokeh.
Le ciel est bleu, j'ai deux amis qui sont aussi mes amoureux. Le temps est bon, le ciel est bleu, nous n'avons rien à faire, rien que d'être heureux. Mon cœur est grand, 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 comme le vent, et je suis douce.
The FVD-16B is a fairly new focuser by Rapido technology, launched in mid-2020, covering a shortcoming of all other focusers. It costs a hefty $1,000 and you can order it directly from Rapido's website. If you look at the FVD-16A product page, you'll see a line that says image quality optimized for 50mm f2 taking lens. And a lot of people either don't read this chart or don't understand what this line means. All variable diopters are optimized for a certain focal length. That's their ideal working condition. So far, all focusers on the market have been optimized for a 50mm taking lens. Rectilux, Rangefinder, FM lens, and even Rapido's A models. This is why you start to see image degradation as you push towards longer lenses, like 85, 100, or 135mm, typically the worst one. That's because these focal lengths behave wildly different than a 50mm. Their tolerances are smaller, their depth of field is shorter, and their whole optical design is entirely different. 50mm lenses tend to use a double Gauss design or a modified double Gauss, while telephotos go about it at a different path. See the article The Entrance Pupil of the Lens in the description for a bit more info on this. Long story short, you need a different design for your variable diopter if you want to keep top-notch performance shooting with longer lenses. That's the FVD-16B. The same line now says optimized for 100mm f2 taking lens, and you'll see that the difference shows. Here's a set of shots taken with a 135mm taking lens and identical lens positions and settings. The only difference is some of them use the FVD-35A and some use the 16B. These are all in close focus or minimum focus range. The difference is killer. While the 35A has a lot of blooming and softness, the 16B is tack sharp. And how does the 16B actually look? I mean, the lens. It's a very strange one, looking like an empty tube. The FVD-16B has 75mm female threads in the back, so it can mount onto a Rapido FMJ, and 86mm threads in the front for filters. Focus comes down to 1 meter or 3 feet over 180 degrees of throw with standard gears on the focus ring. The lens does not rotate or extend while focusing, and this non-rotating, non-moving front is the reason the lens looks like an empty tube, almost 10 centimeters or 4 inches long. The distance between the two glass elements in this lens is much greater at close focus than the distance in the other focusers. This makes me think that the positive and negative diopters in this focuser use a lower power in comparison, and that's why the long lens body and element travel. The 16B comes with a regular front and rear caps. No yogurt tops on this one. It weighs 1 kilogram or 2.2 pounds, and it really cranks the leverage on your lens mount if you don't have proper support. I have to say, this whole thing looked almost ridiculous to me. The 135mm lens is already long, the scope is long, and the focuser is also long, giving me a camera with a pipe in front of it. The focal length cranks are perception of rolling shutter, and it was very easy to get wobbly images. If you have a global shutter camera, you won't have this issue. Peasants like me still struggle though. It was hard to carry this thing around, and having the focus ring all the way at the front made it pretty awkward to operate. But when shooting on tripod and not flailing around, the 16B performance was shocking. It turned out to be super sharp across all focal lengths, with excellent performance in the center and even decent corners shooting wide open, only improving when stopped down. Why not use this thing for all taking lenses then? Well, I'm glad you asked. The body of the 16B introduces massive vignetting. 50mm is only usable on a crop sensor. Not even 85mm clears full 239:1 on full frame, which was shocking to me, but 135 is finally vignette free and sharp in all its glory. To demonstrate breathing, I did some rack focusing on the 85mm, and you can see that the field of view expands considerably when going to close focus. At close focus, the FVD operates as a 0.9 times wide-angle adapter when compared to infinity focus. The neutral coatings don't influence the flares. Here you can see the Elmo 2 with an 85mm taking lens, and then with the 16B on top. No extra streaks or bubbles. Good stuff. So what do I make of this focuser? If you're always going for longer lenses, the 16B is an absolute must. The difference in performance is astounding, and I had the feeling this thing made my setup of 135mm plus scope sharper wide open than the 135mm lens by itself when wide open. If long taking lenses is not the case for you, you can save the money and stop down your longer lenses when you shoot with them. I'll admit, I would be way more tempted by this thing if it cleared 85mm in full frame. The FVD-16B feels like a specialty product in a specialty niche. I think it's a success if you're aware of its limitations. This is not an all-rounder focuser. It's a focuser that works in one specific situation, and it does a magnificent job. It's definitely the one I'd grab if I were to rehouse this whole setup together and make things tighter. Having it sit in front of an already long setup stressed me out. But if you got trust in your camera mount, I mean, rails are a must for me. I hope this review was useful in understanding a bit more about variable diopters, and that you gathered lots of new information from these last weeks focused on the subject. Please hit the like button, and I would love to hear your thoughts about the 16B in the comments below. If you have any questions, this is your time to shine. I'll see you next time. Tjute Verheddings out.